Welcome back to ChannelTop Gaming. This is Aaron with another ranked draft for Throne of Eldraine on Magic Arena. Let's jump right in. Let's see. Off the bat, Piper of the Swarm is a good card. Not a ton of synergy. It can stand alone, and if left unchallenged, pretty much win the game. You're going to be able to make as many tokens as you want. Of course, gaining control of your opponent's creatures by getting rid of the rats, etc. It is a rather long grind, though. I haven't played it with myself in Limited. Mystical Dispute is a fine card, especially out of the sideboard in best of 3, but this is best of 1. And as I look through the rest of the pack, there's some playables. Sorcerer's Broom, I still have yet to have a big game with it. I've triggered its ability a few times, but by and large it's another something, I guess, similar to Piper of the Swarm, where sure, given enough time and space, this can take over a game, but realistically it doesn't seem to. Lonesome Unicorns, definitely playable in an adventure deck. Both sides alone, nothing special, but together in one card can be quite nice. Ritual in an aggro deck, Sleep for the blue, Control. Tome Raider goes in several different decks. Anything with blue is a good card. And Mystic Sanctuary is my favorite of this land cycle. Given that, not too exciting. Black is a very good color. And though this isn't anything to write home about, it might be our best pick out of this pack. The only other thing that I'm really considering, I think, is Tome Raider, since it does go in several different decks and is just a general good card. But this is a pretty weak pack. I think... I guess let's go ahead and take Piper of the Swarm. I was tending towards maybe doing Tome Raider, but let's just take what we're given. Alright, Lock Dragon goes alright in a draw 2 deck. Haven't played with Firstborn Knight, Fireborn Knight rather, and a Knight's deck. Haven't played too many Knight's deck at all, really. Maryleaf Pixie, perfectly fine. Ramping, of course, in blue-green specifically. It's a fine combination. Simic doesn't have an amazing deck in this set, but it's functional. It's definitely playable. Vantress Paladin, really good flyer. Really needs to be able to be cast for Adamant, though. In our colors, Reaper of Night as well as Smitten Swordmaster are both fine playables, and back down to the bottom again with Mystic Sanctuary. Out of this pack, I think Lock Dragon is fine, but of course extremely good if you can get any draw 2 payoffs. And everything else comes in pretty medium second, with maybe even Mystic Sanctuary being arguably the best, if not the second best card. Just to stay in the color that we already picked, you can go ahead and go with Reaper of Night. You usually don't want more than one. You can play 2 and it's fine. Black is a strong color though, so we'll go ahead and see if we can hedge our bet. Black-White is an archetype. I haven't seen as much since release, and I think I only played maybe one deck of it. For these hybrid colors though, you usually do want to be in both colors. If you pick just the one, unless you're just a mono-colored deck, it can be very tricky and sometimes impossible in a game to cast, so it can be a dead card. That said, this is very, very strong. If you get it to stick, then it can pretty much be almost unremovable. There's a few -1/-1 effects in black. Trapped in a Tower could also bring it to a standstill, but you have to have some pretty special removal to take care of it. Sir Alan would also be in the same category, except for since we're just in black so far, and this is best in a go wide. I don't think it's really consideration for us. Rosethorn Acolyte is good fixing, and in the unthinkable world where we end up not playing our black that we've already picked, then this would allow us a lot more options to go open. Scalding Cauldron would also keep us open. Both of these colorless artifacts would likely make a deck, regardless of what colors we end up in, completely. And then, of course, Merfolk's Secret Keeper, everybody's favorite, goes in the mill deck. I don't think we start jamming this early, besides just being a really boring and unexciting strategy. It can backfire. You might be able to jam extra Secret Keepers, but if you get no other real payoffs, then you just have a mediocre mill deck that might win. Really want to keep ourselves open for the best possible deck that we can draft out of the cards presented to us. So I think for us it's between Rider, Acolyte, and I would say these two artifacts, but the power level of these two cards is greater. Since Resolute Rider would want us to slot more into a black-white, which while viable isn't one of the most powerful, easy to draft archetypes, I think we're going to go through Rosethorn Acolyte. Black-green, mid-range food, being able to actually splash, which isn't as impossible as it seems in this set, though you do need certain pieces like the Acolyte or Spinning Wheel, Golden Eggs. I think we're just going to go ahead and go that route. Alright. Moderately rewarded. Most of these packs have been pretty weak. This one also tends towards that. Trail of Crumbs, though, is a good, solid card advantage engine. We're going to start looking for a lot more food. Anything that gives us anything, even gingerbread men if we end up, or ginger brute. Ginger brutes if we end up over that side and really need some food. But if you can get it going, then you get the benefit of the food itself, or even if you just sacrifice the permanent, say, to like a Wicked Wolf, and then you immediately look at the top two and grab a card from them. It's just a permanent, but also permanent's anything, so you're usually not going to whiff unless you're unlucky and get two spells. And that's about it in this pack. Treefolk is playable, though not amazing. Flutterfox overperforms as long as you can activate it. That's about it. Okay. So Fairy Guide, Mother, and So Tiny are very good. They're not in our colors. Garenberg Carver definitely works. These adventure cards that are half battle trick, half creature, I forget the name of the white one at the moment, are both very playable and both have their place. This is more for your trick up front and a little bigger body later on, less aggro style. Ginger Brute, like I said, we do need some food. It's playable, but we don't want too many. In fact, we could play none if we end up with another or other good food synergies. But if we do end up with one on the deck, it's probably alright. But here, I think the adventure creature is just better value. Okay, Spinning Wheel keeps us open again. Serves as ramp and fixing in case we need to pivot in pack 2 or pack 3. It also does have benefits later in the game. You only get to tap one creature and it does cost 5, but sometimes that's all you need to get through a couple extra points of damage, or to give yourself another turn or two by tapping out whatever large attackers come in from across the board. Festive Funeral will be under consideration, but we're early enough that we're hoping to pick up some Reef Souls or Baked-in Pies. We don't have to rely on Festive Funeral, which can leave you stranded if you don't have enough mana or enough creatures, or even cards rather, in your graveyard to get the effect you need. And that's about it, except for the one we're likely going to pick, which is Witch's Oven. We want food synergies, and even if you don't have food synergies in a deck, Witch's Oven can allow you to gain value from creatures that you know are going to be either destroyed because they're being targeted for removal, and you can instant speed sacrifice out from underneath, or if you have a card that, say, had a Trapped-in Tower on it, a creature that's stranded in some way, or if you're just needing to chump block, which is an unfortunate position, but you can still get a food token out of your chump blocker too. So between those, Spinning Wheel would probably be my next pick, followed by Festive Funeral, and again, I always love Mystic Sanctuary, we're just nowhere near it. Alright, continuing some very weak packs for us. I'd say Lash of Thorns is playable, but you gotta be pretty desperate. This does give us food synergies, but it's a very late game card, and the 3/1/1 board creatures are nothing special. I mean, possibly we're using that as extra blockers late for as we dig for something with Trail of Crumbs, and we can use a Witch's Oven for it to chump, and we get 2 food tokens. But really, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to make the deck. Insatiable Appetites, kind of in the same position. It's not a very good card. Lash of Thorns might be the most interesting, but black is also a color that we might not end up in. If we start seeing a lot of really good white cards. Green-white Adventure could also be an option for us. So between these 3 very meh cards, I'd say probably Insatiable Appetite, though I'm hoping we don't have to play it. Alright, continuing some lackluster cards. We have either Return to Nature, Fell the Pheasant, or Forever Young in our pack for our colors. Prophet of the Peak. I mean, it's playable enough. Often Throne of Eldraine games are going to go long, and even though it's expensive, it's a 5/5 creature. You're essentially kind of pseudo drawing a card since you get to scry the top 2, make sure you have what you want, or get 2 cards out of the way later in the game. I don't think we're there yet. Return to the Nature. I honestly really do like playing mainboarding one of these. There's just a lot of artifacts and enchantments that you want to get rid of at instant speed. Or if someone's playing a Forever Young or something that's going to try and recur a card out of the graveyard, you can scoop it out from underneath them at instant speed too. That said, Forever Young, you usually want to play at least one. They're a little harder to get a hold of. If we open up something like a Sir Conrad, we're definitely going to want one, whereas Return to Nature seems to come around a little more often. So go ahead and pick up your Forever Young. Well, this was our opening pack, and it still seems to be pretty lackluster. We'll take a Sorcerer's Broom, since we have some food synergies already. Like I said, I haven't been overwhelmed by it, but I've got it to go once or twice. Nothing too crazy. But if it's a spot in the game, mid to late, got a lot of food, this can end up buying you a lot of time, and even possibly, if you really have a lot of mana, flooding the board. So it's playable, and it's one of the only things we can pick. Pretty much stone cold, nothing for us here. We're not going to play this Halberd. We're just not. Just don't do it. The restrictions on it are pretty nasty. I think the best I've seen is somebody dropping a Ginger Brute and then dropping this on it next turn and starting to get in some damage. But that just puts a bigger target on the Ginger Brute's back, and you get 2 for 1 sooner than later. And if they just take care of the creature, 5 mana to +2/+1, just isn't something you really want to do. Other than that, though, I don't see anything playable whatsoever except for this Mystic Sanctuary, which isn't playable in our deck, but it's a very good card. Wow, Secret Keeper, very late. Well, we can take a Secret Keeper in case we start just getting inundated with the mill deck cards, though I don't particularly see that happening. Or we could grab a Guide Mother in case we need to move away from black. We start seeing some white cards to go into green-white. I feel like this is more likely, though it is crazy to see Secret Keeper still going that late. Nothing really for us here. Nothing really for us here. Spectre Shriek is a fine card if you're playing best of 3 out of the sideboard. Not really main deckable in best of 1 though. You really want to be able to grab a black card with it. Well, the hits keep not coming. Just still no excellent cards for us in this pack. We take a quick peek in. Somehow Piper the Swarm is still kind of our best card. I mean, arguably the synergies from the other cards, but a standalone card is still kind of our best card. And then we have some food synergies. Random Forever Young, Insatiable Appetite we hope we don't play, Trail of Crumbs being very good. So we might just be grabbing this other Acolyte and starting to really look for just the best cards and see if we can find our line. Even if it's in a different color or if we need a splash. We're going to pass up Craig Feats, just not a limited card. Apprentice, maybe it was tempting if we had started picking up those Secret Keepers. Though, to be honest, I wouldn't be very happy with it. Kinrist Transformation is just not a very good card. I mean, sure, it replaces itself. It's a one-off Oko ability. But it's just not good for what you get. There's too many ways for it to be countered, and even if it goes all the way through, then maybe you've turned one of their large creatures or functional creatures into a decent-sized 3/3, which is nothing to sneeze at in Limited, and replaced your card. If we're anywhere near Knights, this might be interesting. Possibly it's something we should consider as a splash. Except for we really need to start gearing up into the Black Knights. Prize Griffin, Splashable if we catch it on the wheel. Barrow Witches is actually a very good card, except for we just don't have any Knights whatsoever. And though we, I'd say, are likely to end up with one, especially if we're looking for one with Barrow Witches, I don't think it's worth picking up on contingency of getting another Knight that we would want to play, especially when we have a good card to like Rosethorn Acolyte. So, not where we want to be, but we'll go ahead and grab a second Acolyte. Alright, even though we're not black-blue, Covetous Urge is, in my opinion, probably the best out of the hybrid cycle. It's just really good. It's not only a very expensive Thoughtseize, but you get to go through their graveyards. So even if it's a little later in the game, they don't have anything good in their hand that you want, or nothing at all, you can dig through their graveyard and find their best card you like, exile it, and then whenever you have the mana for it, you get to cast it. So it's just a very powerful effect, and likely what we're going to pick up here. Grimgully is a good card. There's just not a good deck for it to go in, that I've seen anyway, in Limited. Reeve Soul we would love to have. Witchstalker we would love to have. We would take an egg. We would take a brute. So, between Witchstalker, Reeve Soul, and Covetous Urge, I mean, maybe we're supposed to take the Reeve Soul since we have just no removal. And it is very viable. But I feel like Covetous Urge is a card that you can actually turn a game around on. Actually had it played against us, I think a video or two ago, where we had just gone through a pretty complex sequence and turned the game around, and they just were able to top actually they topped a Mystic Sanctuary, put the Covetous Urge back on top, were able to draw that card immediately, and then play it against us for our last card in our hand, which happened to be good enough that it helped them win the game eventually. I'm going to go with the Urge. It's riskier. Okay, well, pretty rewarded. Reeve Soul in the very next pack. Also happens to be same pack with our Out Muscle. Getting some really awkward packs in this draft. Kind of weak with nothing, and then everything we want all in one pack. So out of this pack, we would play a Bell of the Brawl. I would even, since we have so many food synergies, I'd probably even play a Giant Opportunity. It's not really a bad card, it's just you really need to be able to play either functional mode and have it be synergized with your deck. We'd even play a Smith Swordmaster, Gingerbread Cabin if it comes around, but we already kind of take this Reeve Soul over an Out Muscle. It's more direct. If Out Muscle goes through, then you're getting the counter and generally taking whatever creature you needed out anyway. even over a power of 3 and swinging in. It's just a little bit dicier, especially since we don't have any really large creatures we can count on. But Reef Souls, 2 mana, get rid of a creature. It's just good. Alright, Shepherd of the Flock is a great card. It's not in our colors. Improbable Alliance. It functions and overperforms almost as much as a rare would. As far as the draw 2 deck, it's an engine. And that engine, once it gets going, is pretty hard to take down. Revenge of Ravens can stop it pretty easily, but now we're just talking about strict counters. There's another Secret Keeper. And then probably what we're going to take is this Paladin. I will say Giant Skewer. I've seen a lot less as the sets evolved, which means people are taking them, or rather the bots have been programmed to take them a little higher in priority. Just doing the extra damage, generally, especially if you throw it on like a Ginger Brute that can be unblockable, or something that flies, you're getting that extra damage. And then if they do end up having to trade it in battle, then you're getting a food token out of it. Or even if you stick it on something like a Secret Keeper and it's a 2/5 blocker, then if they're attacking in, then they don't want to attack for absolutely no reason, even if it is to get other attackers around the go wide sides of your blocker. You end up with a food token for your troubles. Garenberg Paladin, though, is excellent. It's really good, especially at common. Very hard to block. The extra counter is nice, but even if it's not cast at Adamant, a 4/4 that pretty much blanks half of the small blockers and chumpers is an excellent card, and it's likely what we're going to take. We've already talked about Return to Nature, and Gingerbread Cabin is playable if you have food synergies, and make sure that you're just 2 colors for the most part. Starting to see a little looseness. Would like to see some more removal, but now we're starting to get a couple better green cards coming our way this way. I think probably getting cut on black, maybe even coming and going. Really have to see what Pack 3 brings us. Don't have really anything. 1 white card, 1 blue card. So we are black-green. And the best card for us here arguably could be Wicked Guardian. You have a decent number of cards that can take the hit, so that make sure that we get the card. Which is nice and can come into play, but I think the Garenberg Paladin is just such a beater that despite needing a little card advantage, and even really needing some early drops, and the fact that it has food synergies and Curious Pair, really just doesn't match the fact that we can drop a Paladin, and if it isn't answered in a couple turns, can win us the game. So we'll take the second Paladin. Okay, we've got a few options here. I think since we have the Witch's Oven, setting up the Cauldron Familiar combo is likely worth going for it, especially if we see any more of either of these. On top of the fact that we only have two 2-drop creatures. One that can maybe block until we can get our bigger creatures down, the other one that can either chump or suck it. Yeah, leave Appetite in for now. We're hoping we don't have to play it. We have some decent effects now. Another consideration is Cauldron's Gift, but it's kind of meh. We don't have any amazing creatures we want to make sure to get back. Sure, we'd take a Paladin if we wanted to, but overall, not a whole lot of upside. Giant Opportunity I did talk about and mention, and I would play it if there weren't many other options for us here. Locked-Wing Paladin, again, I would play. A 4/3, if you can cast an Adamant, which hopefully you'd be able to do, is nothing to sneeze at either. It's a little more aggressive, whereas we're looking like we're building towards something, more like a couple Paladins. Hopefully we can pick up a bomb. So, and we'd even play Tree Folk. So even though there's a good number of other playables for us here, we'll go ahead and take the fast creature with the cheesy combo that we already have the piece for. Right. Not too much. Really, we're looking at the other Reaper of Night or a Ginger Brute. The only other payoff we have, as far as food though, is Trail of Crumbs. I guess Sorcerer's Broom is. So I still don't know if we take another Ginger Brute this early. But we also don't have a ton of control going on, so that we can always make sure, you know, to get not only the first half of the Harvest Fear discard effect, but also get to 7 mana and be able to win the game out by going that long, because we've depleted the resources of our opponents. If we don't have a lot of other control, which we don't, then this becomes a lot less valuable because we're not going to survive long enough to cast it. Don't have any other adventure synergies, so I think it's really between the Ginger Brute and the Reaper of Night. Still don't want to play more than one Ginger Brute, and I get the feeling we're going to get one late, so we'll pick up Reaper of Night, whether or not we actually play both of them. Oh my god. Alright, well, immediately punished. Tempting Witch is probably our pick here. I've come up a bit on it as the sets unfolded. It does have a little bit of reach. It does make a food token when it comes in. It blocks nicely. I just feel that often the effect isn't enough. But I've been proven wrong on the other side. The other thing giving it any sort of run is another Carver. Because if we do get this out, say we're making some smaller rats, we get Familiar out, they think we're just going to let it go. A trick in the back of your pocket can make a nice little blowout so that you're trading at parity and then still getting your creature out of it. If we had more food synergies, I'd probably be leaning more towards the Tempting Witch. But right now, I'll just take the Carver. Let's see how it goes. Alright, well, we still ended up with the Ginger Brute. Nothing else for us here. Okay, you can stop giving me Ginger Brutes now. Okay. It's a 2-drop. Doesn't have a lot of synergies with anything else going on. Cabin, I'd happily grab if there wasn't a Swordmaster and if we didn't need still some early drops. But we'll take this one instead. And we even wield the Wolf's Boy. Okay, well, continuing our march of alright cards. Actually, Beanstalker Giant's more than alright. It's actually really good, but it benefits mostly from being able to have Lucky Clovers out, so you just get grabbing 2, or if you have multiples and you're really lucky, you can grab a full 3 lands and stick them straight on the battlefield untapped, effectively reducing the cost of this card. We're still going to grab it anyway. Let's just take another little look through. Absolutely play this Witch Stalker if it makes it around, but I doubt it does. Possibly we'll wield the Guardian. I don't know if I take another Carver or not. Definitely don't need another Reaper. I don't even know if we have the one Swordmaster for the witches to target. It's kind of weak. But happy enough taking Beanstalk Giant. It can be a finisher. Okay. Looks like another Covetous Urge for us. I would take a Memory Theft and not be too sad about it. It's amazing how many times somebody's cast an adventure card in response to Memory Theft, thinking they're going to dodge us being able to grab and discard it for them, but then they just end up losing it as well as whatever other card we got, so we end up getting extra value. But yeah, we'll take another Covetous Urge. Okay. Still nothing too exciting. Just been a pretty weak draft all around. We're going to take the Scalding Cauldron as the only removal piece. Besides our Reeve Soul, that is our only other direct removal, which is pretty unfortunate. So hopefully we still see another Reeve Soul. Maybe for some ungodly reason we get past Baked in a Pie. Worth noting, Tactician is really good. Univice is alright. Rimrock Knight overperforms if you have that aggressive deck, especially with Knight synergies. That's about it. And so Tiny's good if you're in control. Okay. Don't think we try and splash. It's not even splash, but just force this. I don't think the effect is good enough. It's pretty mana intensive anyway. I guess you do get to sacrifice artifacts, which we could translate food into damage. But I don't think that there's enough going on for us to really want to do that. I think Barrow Witches is probably better than Legion, but we don't have enough Knights. We only have the one to really bring that into effect. Go ahead and get this Appetite out now that we have 2 Carvers. We'll leave both Brutes in for the moment. Everything else looks okay. Power level, nothing too special. I'll go ahead and move one of these Reapers out now. We mostly want to finish with this Paladin. If we end up being able to hit him for a discard when we need to and get to a late game where this becomes effective and efficient, then so be it. But for now, we're doing a decent mid-range grind deck. And to that end, I think we're going to end up with Lost Legion. I don't really see. Garenberg Squire is not... If you absolutely need a 2-drop for filler, fine. Tree Folk is a bit better, but it becomes not only playable, but desirable if you have Lucky Clovers, or even Edgewell Innkeepers, just more adventurous synergies. But we'll take Scry 2 on a decent enough body at a 3-drop where we could use the slot. Okay. Still don't think we want a Kenris Transformation, though we are starved for removal. Scalding Cauldron and a Reeve Soul is just not really where you want to be. But we have so many creatures now, and a couple tricks, that I think Giant Skewer becomes viable. We do have the additional food synergies as far as Cauldron Familiar and Trail of Crumbs. And then just being able to boost up, Smitten Swordmaster as a 4/2 lifelinker, put it on the Ginger Brute, get him going. I think it makes it worth it. I'd consider a Golden Egg. It's food, color fixes if we need for Covetous Urges. But I think if we're playing the beatdown plan, we'll miss this skewer more than we'll miss an egg. Nothing great here. We could try splashing a Trapped in the Tower because we are just that desperate. We don't have any eggs, but we do have 2 Rosethorn Acolytes. It's not what you want to do at all. It has a very high likelihood of becoming stranded. I guess we also have the Beanstalk Giant. Alternatively, we could try and splash the Steelclaw Lance. Same thing. We put 1, maybe 2 mountains on our deck, and then just lean on the Acolyte and the Beanstalk Giant to get it out for us, and after it's out, move it around however we want. Seems like a pretty low likelihood, though. Much more interested in Trapped in a Tower on a splash. I think since we don't need any beef, if we didn't have both these Paladins and a Reaper a Knight to back us up, then I might be more interested in Prophet of the Peak just as a beefy finisher. But I don't think it's necessary, and that's just kind of how desperate we are, that we very well may end up splashing this Trapped in the Tower. Okay. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, take the cabin if there's nothing else. Already talked about needing or not needing beef. I think this would be playable if we just needed some sort of 3/3, but since we're so desperate for removal, we're going to take this Lash of Thorns. It 2-for-1s us if we're not able to keep our creature, but sometimes you just gotta get rid of something. Well, just disappointments after disappointments. I don't think Eye Collector is where we want to be. We don't have any recursion for our own cards and no other additional mill, so the effect really isn't much of anything. That said, a 1/1 flyer can do some damage, especially if we put some equipment on it. But I think we have enough other synergistic 1-drops that it's not really a consideration. So we'll take our cabin. Yet another Reaper of Night. Super wish we had more knights. I guess, okay, I'm totally sleeping on the fact that Garenberg Paladin is a knight. So we don't even need to talk about it. We don't want anything else anyway. Go ahead and take a Barrow Witches. And we'll take a Memory Theft. And we'll just be generally disappointed with our picks. I shouldn't say that. It's not an awful deck. We just didn't get any bombs really passed to us. We didn't open anything. We didn't even take any risky lines versus sure picks that could change one way or the other how this comes out. But let's go ahead, just pinch out anything we know we don't want. Yeah, I'll pinch out the tower. I'm not sure if we want it or not. Not sure about the Memory Theft. Alright, what's that leave us? 2 over with 16 creatures, so we definitely have room for creatures to be cut. So the Barrow Witches have 3 targets. Is that worth it? If not, they're coming down as a 3/4 for 5. I don't know. I think maybe it isn't worth it. Oh, actually, this is a knight as well. Alright, we ended up picking up more knights than I thought. 2, 3, 4 knights. Alright. So maybe you have a spot. And then what are we cutting from the front end? I think 1 Ginger Brute can go. I think versus trying to shove this Trapped in the Tower in, we just try and make do with our 1.5, 2.5 removal pieces. Just 1 more would have made me feel a lot better, but we're just going to have to overcome with creature advantage and a bit of ramp. Covetous Urge kind of counts as removal. You get to take 1 of their cards out of their hand, hopefully. If not, then at least grab whatever great card they have for card advantage out of their graveyard. Let's keep the Broom in. Possibly we switch that around. Take the Broom out for another Carver, or maybe even a Trapped in the Tower if we get that frustrated. Memory Theft isn't bad, but with 2 Urges and a Reaper Knight, I don't think it's necessary. Everything else just looks unimpressive. Alright. Let's double check our mana. What did we end up with? 12 and 7. 9 and 8 with 2 cabins, 2 paladins. This cares about forests. This just cares about the mana used to cast it, so our Roselorn Acolytes can activate Adamant, but they cannot make a gingerbread cabin happen. I guess it's still alright. If we pick it up, need to play it turn 1 or 2, or even 3 without loss of tempo. It's not so bad if it comes in tapped. But I think with 12 and 7, we probably do want 9 and 8 source-wise. Alright, let's take it for a spin. Definitely have drafted more powerful decks, but that's part of just limited play, is being able to find the best line, even if it isn't a great line. And we've taken decks like this where we're less than impressed and still made good runs, even all the way through to 7 wins. So hopefully we can do that again. Okay, well, always good to know. Thank you for that, Magic. Alright, keepable. And just like we said, if we get a cabin, we need to put down turn 1. It's not the end of the world. Going to need another black source for our Lost Legion, but I guess that's where Beanstalk will come in. Ah, yes. Good old Ginger Brute. Actually, I think I'm more interested in getting a 2-1 lifelinker down, if this is the route that the opponent is taking. See what he does. Probably swings in, offers a trade, and then puts down some form of blocker. If he wants to Reef Soul, great. If we draw a black source, we'll put down our Legion for Beanstalk the Gianting. Just because then the next turn we could Giant into Trail. Doesn't look like it's going to hit. Alright, so now we can swing in with Swordmaster and trade off our trick with the Carver. Takes our whole turn. But we do just get 4 life back and get the Flutterfox off. Let's see what he wants to do. Alright, so just gives us a life, which we're fine with. Then let's go ahead and Giant. It's a little awkward. Would have preferred a black mana there, but this keeps us on track. Looks like opponent's a little... well, they were a little mana screwed. But a green mana off the top can let... Alright, decides to Reef Soul the Swordmaster to get that lifelink off and try and give us a race. We could just put the Paladin down without Adamant. But I think we have enough. Yeah. We can put down the Trail of Crumbs too, that we have enough going on. We can see if we can wait. Alright. Interesting. So we'll have 5 mana. I think we want both of these, and I think we want to attack their hand next turn. And then we might even play the Paladin before we play the Barrow Witches, in case they want to destroy it. Not too shabby, though. Not really that behind on board. Now we have a Trail of Crumbs. We can start getting a little advantage as our food trickles out. And we'll be able to get rid of 2 of the last 3 cards in their hand, which I feel pretty good about. Keeps in with the beatdown plan. And puts a Piper out. Okay. Alright, I think we just slam the Paladin here, because it can start putting the clock more in our favor. And I feel like they're going to end up with 2 or 3 cards next turn too. Yeah, that just feels better to me. So even though it's a 4-4 instead of a 5-5, he doesn't have anything that can block it. You can make rats and that won't block it, so he'll have to take care of it directly. And in that case, we can bring it back with the Barrow Witches. No reason to attack. Guess we could have swung first. Would have been smart. Because then if he had blocked, we could have taken out the Piper if we wanted with the trick, though honestly we probably just would have let them bounce off each other and still put the Paladin down. but it would have given us an extra opportunity for some damage. Okay, I think we're going to get both of the cards left in his hand out, which is nice. Anything instant speed? Oh, it's just a couple lands anyway. Fair enough. Next turn he can hold up enough mana for the dummy to do some work for him. He's got a pretty decent go-wide strategy going on. So if the Paladin sticks, which is what it looks like it will, we can Barrow Witch's back the Smitten Swordmaster and get just get one drain on him. Alright, 4, 5, 6, 7. Might need to crack this food though. Okay. Alright, the rats have menace. Okay. So... crack the food for 3, 2. Let's see what we get. We get a mana. Right. Take that. Too exciting. Do we swing? I think we do. So we're still more than happy to trade off about anything. We still need to put pressure. Fairly tight. Still won't have enough rats to grab one of our creatures. 2, 4, 5. He's going to be 1 off if he does swing with everything. Problem is we're going to need some food for this to matter. Or I guess we can Barrow Witch's back, and that extra drain might actually be pertinent. So now we can activate Piper and then at the beginning of his next turn steal our Paladin. He can pump up the Jesting enemy? Yeah, to block the Paladin, so that is a thing. So we have Cauldron. If we just Cauldron the Flutterfox, he has 2 unblockables, so he only needs 1 more point of damage, and 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers means we're hosed. Barrow Witches gets us back to 5 life, and that's 2, 3, 4, and gets us down a blocker. Oh man, this is real tight. Is it good for the Jesting enemy? Okay, that's fine. That we're okay with. Because now he can't kidnap a creature. It's fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attackers, 3 blockers, 2 of which we can't, so it's 3 damage down. Kill him, that's 1, 2, but then that's still 3, yeah. We actually have to Barrow Witches. Alright, so we grab him. Drain 2 life. And have 3 blockers, so we can... 2, 3, 4... Nah, we're still dead. Because of the menace. Yep. We were just 1 card off one way or the other. If we'd gone the other route, then we kill the Piper, and then he's got too much flying damage. I mean, yeah, it was just too much. We keep the Paladin up, then we're still contending with the other blocker, or he would have made a rat. It was a tight game. Let's go ahead and do another playthrough. I don't think there's anything to adjust there. We just need to be the ones that are beating down faster. I mean, Trapped on Tower doesn't even hit flyers, so it wouldn't have happened to have helped us there, even though we would have been able to cast it. Well, looks like we're not doing much until turn 3, and then hopefully Last Legion helps us find a couple forests for these paladins. I think overall Throne of Eldraine has, even though there's been a lot of complaining on Arena, I just don't think that it's as big of a problem as far as mill decks. Yeah, they're easier to put together, and of course, now that I've said that, we're about to play against a mill deck. But you can still get beaten by better drafted, more powerful decks, even if you happen to have 3 Secret Keepers and a couple bounces. Might end up actually acolyting here, as it gets us just that one little step closer and ramped to be able to get down a paladin a little faster. Wouldn't be surprised to see some animating fairies in our opponent's deck. If not, they're just playing the grindy long game, and good on them for it. That's just mean. Alright, since we don't have a 2-drop, we are going to be able to turn 4, put down a Paladin with Adamant though. So we're going to go Acolyte, Paladin, Paladin, see what that does for us. Except for now, it looks like they're keeping up counter magic. And we actually can't put down our Lost Legion. Oh, alright, so there's the animating fairy. We're going to take some big beats. Not really worth putting down the familiar just as a chumper. We just need to beeline it for these paladins. Can block the Witching Wells. Wow, Witching Wells 4 days. Alright, I would assume opponent got more than just one animating fairy. So we could be in for quite a few of these. Which isn't great for us because we don't have enough removal to take care of the wells or animated artifacts directly, and we definitely don't have enough to take care of flyers in the air, so both sides gets us pretty hosed. Well, let's just slam her paladin, see what happens. Alright, opponent finds a mana. Opponent finds a charm sleep. We pretty much do the same thing over again. But now we have a little bit more backup. If they don't have a second answer for our second paladin, then I could say that's pretty stable. Can even start swinging in with the paladin if we want to get frisky. Okay, there's some mill. No problem. Thank you for getting those out of the way. And enemy praying. Alright. I think he's probably going to have some bounce going on, so I'm just going to re-soul that very immediately. I'm going to swing in with our paladin. And then we have 4 mana to play with. I think we put down Piper and keep up this Carver as a trick in case he wants to attack with the animated well. Yeah, I like that. Alright, not too bad for us. Opponent is low on cards, but they do have 2, technically 3 Witching Wells that they can draw from. All puns usually intended. We do have a bit more of a tempo going for us now, though. Sticking that second paladin is pretty key. He's going to have to block with the other Witching Well at some point. If he wants to swing in now, though, I'm more than happy risking the Acolyte with our battle trick. Alright, goes for it. This could get countered, but that actually still doesn't hurt us that hard. I think it's worth taking the chance now. Let's see what happens. Could have Mystical Dispute, or just, didn't say please. Didn't have either. So you have a... Oh, very smart. Makes sense. Alright, so... we can pound in pretty much at will. What's this cost? 2 to make a rat. We have 3, 4, 5, 6... Yeah. Let's look at the top 2. Take a Beanstalk Giant. Don't mind that at all. I guess we could actually add to the board. And get through for an extra 1 versus an extra 2. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Let's do that. So opponent goes to 8. We have a couple chump blockers if they animate another Witching Well. Pretty good position though. Can't tell if they were trying to... I want to say that they have more than one fairy. If not, then leaning that hard on Witching Well. Maybe it's just unlucky they got all 3 early on. But generally, it's more for a, okay, longer drawn out mill game. And pretty sure they're just mono blue, so... Alright, well, if opponent has a counter... That's not great for us, but I think versus just slamming this Beanstalk Giant and using our Acolyte's mana to do so, I think we want its attack power instead. In which case we will hold back the Piper. Okay, they might have a run away together, possibly. So 3, 2, 4, 6. Oh, we actually held back lethal. Yeah, that's what I get for counting. Then again, this sets us up indubitably for lethal next turn, so it is what it is. Can't think of anything opponent would have to deal with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 independent sources of 1 point of damage. Could be anything. Anything at all. Pretty sure they're Hollywooding. I don't know why you get Hollywood. It's extra incentive when they see that it's being used for a video. Alright, well, you know what? I take that all back. Maybe they're not salty. They were just trying to figure out the best play to possibly have the Stolen by the Fae get enough blockers out for them. But it was just impossible. They had to deal with 7 independent sources of damage. And right there, they shut down 5 of those, but it just wasn't enough. Alright. Okay. Looks like we're matched up against a Mythic player. Number 33, too. Pretty high up there. Let's see how this works out for us. And so far we have some marginal flooding, but we do get to go 1, 2, 3, and even 4. It's like it hunts on aggro mono red. Yep. Glad we let out with Last Legion. Definitely need to get those lands out of the way. Okay. That hurts. Right. Next turn we can put the skewer on, or actually maybe we put the skewer on first. That way we can block the errant, make a food token as well, and then we can Swordmaster. Alright. I don't love it because it gives us no wiggle room, but at the moment that's kind of where we're at. Next turn we'll have a little more latitude. The fact that we get to put, yeah, we have to put all our eggs into one blocker, so to speak, as well as they could have had a battle trick. Made that less desirable. Our other option would have been to pull back and kill the raiders and then just take the knight over and hit anyway. But not a great deck, and we're going to get beat up pretty quick here. If we Cauldron... Alright, I guess we can wait and then we can Cauldron whichever raiders he gives the menace to. Block the Swordmaster, the other raiders, whichever one we have. And then go from there. Doesn't feel great. Alternatively, we could have put the Skewer on the Swordmaster, but then we're in the same boat we were last time. Whereas at least now we can for sure take out one of their creatures. Alright. I'll hate it. Okay. If he has a barge in here, then we're probably just dead. Alright. Honestly, our one Reeve Soul coming through. And if we stabilize, we can Reaper Knight away the rest of their hand. In fact, we even take the hit here, I think. Yeah. Or do we? Maybe we don't take the hit. Then we're just taking the hit from whatever he has next time. Yeah. Go ahead and trade. Follow-up is just the Rimrock. That'd be great. No, Raging. Okay. Okay. Yes. That's fine. Direct damage. Now we can Last Legion, Swordsman. Go from there. And last card is another attacker. That's amazing. Six. That's fine. guy must be running like 15 lanes. Who knows, maybe 14? We've dealt with a lot of threats. Oh, black mana as well. Interesting. So we Takin for 4. Can trade any of those creatures. Go back up to 9. And we can start playing some big ass creatures. I don't hate it. Gets us out of range. Gets our life total much healthier. We put a food token on the board. And then next turn we start dropping some big creatures. Okay. Okay. All right. We'll take it. All right. Which one do we want? This one's harder to kill. Right. Alright, puts him on a 2-turn clock and allows us enough mana to eat that food too. Alright, if the opponent doesn't have another blocker, then that could just be game. We do not want to risk any shenanigans, so we will gladly trade. Sure. All right, good game. Not too bad. A little middling deck, beating hyper aggro red. Not too bad. Well, we have small creatures. I don't really care about the Forever Young. A Reeve Soul, our only Reeve Soul, and our Acolyte for ramp. Not thrilled, but we'll keep it. See how fast opponent comes out the gates. Whee! Gingerbread's away. You're reaving old poor Gingerbird's soul. We don't have any, or rather, we're still short if we want to cast any green adamant spells. But it is what it is. Hold on to her for it again. Okay. Ugh, gross. Well. Do we keep the damage rolling with the Gingerbrute? Just tiny little Gingerbrute. Yeah. That's fine. Do we want to give up the Cauldron Familiar too? Nice. Somebody's a little impatient. Oh nice, don't even have to tap. Just sacrifice Gingerbread outright. It's fine. Don't care about your big old creature. Oh man, we were flooding hard though. Well, 8 more turns. Excuse me, 9 more turns. No problem. So we have 2, 4, 6, 7. No gracias. I love how we've made him use 2 premier removal spells on Gingerbread. It makes me very happy. Alright, Beanstalk Giant should help. Actually, I think we just cast it right now. Yeah, and that's what we're going to do. That's a big Lost Legion. Yeah, this is clearly a trick, but what's he going to do about it? Take it? Alright, and that might prompt a concession. Alright. Not really sure what opponent was doing. We just kept throwing stuff at him. I think we attacked every turn. There's not a lot of interactions in our deck worth talking about. We are just making do with what we do have. The fact that we don't have any strong synergies doesn't mean we can't grind out. Like, food is a silly token. It seems silly. There's different tokens that we've had for like, treasure tokens for mana or not Explorer, Discovery, whatever the draw card tokens were. Those all seem more interesting. The food, it seemed a little silly, but 3 extra life, especially when there's multiple ways to make it in the format, kind of raises everybody's average starting life total closer to 25 than like 21, 22 might be an average set. Alright. Playable. Hello. Hello. Wish they'd put a good luck, have fun emote. Something fun and interesting. Well, unfortunately, there goes our witch's oven, but 'tis what it is. Pretty far away from this covetous urge. Wouldn't mind seeing a acolyte pop up. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess we should get closer to the urge. Setting more of our adamant for green. So this costs 2 to make a token. You can still get 1 point of damage in. Yeah, that works. I mean, we don't get to put the cauldron down this turn, but I don't see an immediate need for that. Like opponent's okay, there we go. So he was a little stuck on life doing that. Or life, stuck on mana, but clearly not. Okay, make a token. And he goes to kill the Piper. It's fine. Ooh, Reaper. I don't think we reap just yet. We could attack and then Scalding Cauldron. Feels good to get Secret Keepers off the board anyway, even though it's just a 0/4 blocker, because being able to bounce it back to your hand and recur it is a fine way to extend if you didn't get a bunch of Secret Keepers in your mill. Let's see what they want to do. If he doesn't block at all, great, we'll put down the Carver. They're definitely suspicious of a trick. Okay. And we have a very slow trick. It still leaves us probably able to attack next turn. I mean, it depends on what they put down, but Carver is a combat trick. Can go a long ways. Ooh, okay. I feel like a counter's coming our way. Let's see if he wants to counter the Cauldron Familiar. I don't think it's worth committing the Carver. And I still don't want to have him discard just yet. Opt, you say? Okay. Okay. Not too bad. They still have plenty of time. Little 1/1s are going to take some time getting anything through. And if they have any big bombs like Lochmere Serpent or something like that, we're kind of screwed. We don't have any good ways of getting rid of that at all. Okay. It keeps letting us go. So we'll start to add up for him, though. So tiny's the Cauldron Familiar. Okay. Sure. Okay, let's see if he wants to do anything to this Acolyte. Alright, I think we're finally going to see a counter on the Acolyte. Yep, there we go. That's fine. And next turn, wouldn't mind some of those. It's very likely we can hit him with this Reaper. Okay. Come on, play something. No? Might have another counter. I don't know. Ooh, we could just do it again. Does he have another so tiny? Beta to a pie. Okay. Yeah, alright. Well, that's great, because we're going to get his last 2 cards out of his hand. That's okay. Ooh. Sure he didn't like that. It's definitely mill light. I don't think they got enough of the pieces to make a really good mill deck. Did you pull a counter? Did you top deck another counter? No? Okay. So now... probably grab his Ayara, rather. Yeah, because then we can sacrifice the Cauldron Familiar out from under him. Feels pretty good. That is, if this had been a swamp, I'm still not off. Probably more shenanigans coming our way, though. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe so. Another so tiny. Okay. Everything's so tiny around here. Sure. Now, we don't have any knights, or do we actually? There's been some milling. Yeah, we don't have any knights to grab. So I think we just go with the Carver outright. Same difference. We can still... Nice. Alright. And unless he's got a way to deal with that, that should be a game. If he does, we'll pull it back with Bear Witches anyway. And that's why, I'm not sure if that's what our opponent did, but that's why you don't want to try and force a mill deck. Nice. Well, tell you what. We're just going to Covetous Urge to start, see what happens. Excuse me. Alright, so just a so tiny. Run away together in their hand, you say. Well, they don't have a creature. So we'll just go with... We want baked in a pie? Nah, let's go with Ayara. Especially since we can cast it right now. That should be about ball game. Nice! Revenge of Ravens. Oh my god. Alright, we'll still be able to get him though. And they know it. Alright. Just grinding along here. Been able to put together enough aggro to sort of grind down. Also haven't seen a real functioning deck firing all pistons. Probably our second game, the really tight one. It's probably the most back and forth we've seen. Other than that, we're just not getting punished for not being able to draw a lot of cards or have a lot of 1, 2, 3, I guess. Like, we're very straightforward. We got creatures, and we're going to try and kill you with them, and that's about it. We have a few ways to deal with your stuff, interactivity-wise. Gingerbread's been MVP, though. It's 3 games in a row. First blood. Okay. Thought about putting down Swordmaster. Start getting that life gain out. Interesting. Some dwarves on us, huh? I think we just force him to deal with this guy. Did not mean to do that. I keep thinking it's 2 to equip Giant Skewer, which is not good thinking. Sure, Hedgewalker. Okay. Well, 5 more turns of Gingerbread would be pretty crazy. So opponent probably has a trick, but we're still going to force it out of their hand, or they don't care about their 7 dwarves. Fair enough. Another Hingewalker, another black mana. Good news is we can start pumping out chumpers. Piper the Swarm, and at this point we're just ahead enough on board. Okay. I take that back, now we're very much behind on board. Well, that's pretty rough. To be completely frozen out of green mana. What are we, 12 cards in. Very unfortunate. But we'll trade creatures off and get a food token left behind if that's what they want to do. Fire them, I probably would. Or not. I think we're just dead. I don't think there's anything we could possibly grab. I have green cards, I promise. I gotta say, it was the first time in a long time I remember getting mana screwed in just one color. Hopefully that means that we build pretty decent decks, but also probably means we gotten a little lucky. I feel like this deck's performing about as well as I thought. If we end up 4-3, feels about right. 5 and 3 feels about right too. Just right around in there. All right, it's another pretty good opening hand. Looks like we're not on the play though. Or maybe we are. Oh, we are. Good. And they went down just one card? Okay. Okay. Always fun to see. Some more witching wells. Pretty important scry. Ah, both on top. Interesting. So we beanstalk giant for our forest, and then play paladin turn 4. Seems pretty good. Man, flooding out. Alright, no counter worries. Definitely looks like a mill. So, sure we should expect this paladin to get blasted in the face ASAP. Well, they get the other half of our giant, which is unfortunate. But, oh my god, we're flooding so hard. Two-turn clock, though. Okay, they go for the mill. Yep, mill. There's a lot of good stuff. Mill. There's some more good stuff. Okay. Alright. Someone's got to have an answer for this paladin. Answer for this paladin. Incoming. Alright. Paladin down. Piper, not bad. So, does it benefit us to get this monitor off the board? I don't know if it does. Or I mean, rather, I don't know if it's worth it. Yeah, I'm just not feeling it. I don't see there's too much benefit or upside versus just trickling them out as we are right now. Next turn, 1, 2, 3. Actually, this should be lethal unless he changes the board somehow. Because Gingerbrute will get in, and then one of these two attackers will get in, and then we can sacrifice the Gingerbrute to the Familiar, and that'll be the last point of damage. So he's dead on board. As it stands. I think they're kind of feeling that. Okay, that's not going to be enough. Though we will be down to 10 cards. Oh, right. Alright, that will actually be enough. Wonder if they've been stalled out on blue mana and haven't been able to bring any Didn't Say Pleases to bear. Okay. Just cycling. And our turn. Barrow Witches. I like Barrow Witches. That might even be enough for the lethal. Alright, let's see what he does. So we can bring... Actually, frick. Barrow Witches aren't a knight. Well... Okay. Interesting. Alright, so we'll go here. Four attackers, two blockers. Cauldron can't be activated immediately, but next turn it can. Alright, good game. Little tiny edges. Little itty bitty edges. Alright, so we hit our 5-game mark, which, if you follow along with our videos, is where I kind of mark it. If you are a above average drafter, you can go infinite at kind of technically like 5.5 games, but essentially if you can get up to 5 every time, the losses as far as entry fees are very negligible. And of course, if you can push it over into 6 and 7 wins, then pure profit. Well, probably can't keep this. Barrow Witches are only good after we have knights in the graveyard. Covetous Urge will be completely unplayable for almost half the game. I mean, we have 3 lands and a Beanstalk Giant, but that's not really good enough. Oh, almost kept. Well, almost the reverse problem. Put back one of these swamps and put it on luck that we get a 3rd one so that we can last Legion. Could put back a Paladin, except for they're sort of game winners for us. This is a high risk. If we don't pull our 3rd land, then we've hosed ourselves. But I feel for our best chance to win, already going down a card, we need to make sure we have enough action. Well, it's not a forest, but it is another land, so panned out a bit, I guess. Surprised if opponent doesn't have a 3-drop. What's going on? I mean, this can be a slow format, but what you doing? Alright. Well, we have all the swamps, so definitely any of those will go to the bottom, and the Forever Young can go to the bottom too, though above the swamp. Hopefully that doesn't matter. So, much higher likelihood of hitting a forest. Okay, Doom Foretold, you say? guess that's our skewer. Yeah. Just because I want to still be able to attack. Yes, Trail of Crumbs, we can sack the food token. That way we don't fall too far behind either. This is interesting, though. I'm really seeing Doom Foretold play out in Limited. It's definitely powerful. It forces a lot of disadvantage, but you have to feed it yourself, too, so it's a little awkward. Oh, non-token. Bummer. Alright, fine. We are matching him, though, which is nice. He just keeps having to eat his own creatures. And we just keep plugging along damage-wise. So I'm not sure what the tipping point is. I guess you hold back your Doom Foretold until... Don't have to? Maybe now he gets to kill the Paladin? Not entirely sure. I think I'm just going to do the Acolyte. Just in case he kills the Paladin on the swing back, something of that nature. Now if he does kill the Paladin, we have Witches as a backup. Okay. What's this do? First strike haste, whenever it has. Okay. That's fine. Well, I guess we can just be mean and reave its soul. Get your soul reaved. I feel like they might have had a trick they're trying to pull, like a the Death Touch Lash, which would have worked out well, just because it had first strike, so we would have been able to take the Paladin out completely. Ooh, now I think they're just flailing, and we're probably going to get them. Alright, so he blocks, I assume. Go for the trick. And that's the ball game. Alright, I think that was a lesson in Doom Foretold, at least cautionary, not working out as well as they had hoped. I think you need more setup. You need a way that it's always going to benefit you and you won't have to continually feed actual creatures to your own card. Still, it's hard not to see a bright, shiny, nice rare and plug it in and just try and figure it out on the fly. What is with our lands being wrong? So we can go turn 2 if we pull a forest, turn 3. On that doesn't seem great. I also have a lot of green adamant effects. Alright. We also have 2 Covetous Urges, and if we do pull Forest, then Rose Thorn Acolyte gets us 2 of the forests all the way there. Alright, I guess we can do that too. So we're definitely flooded, but we do have things to do in the meantime. Alright, looks like opponent's on draw 2, most likely. Alright, not so bad. They have a Fairy Vandal? You're gonna flash in here? So tiny? Okay. Seems aggressive. Alright, so let's Lost Legion. Second our other gingerbread cat. Ironic. Definitely want to Reef Soul. Don't think I care about Lash of Thorns. Rather have some beater action. Yeah, no attacks. Thank you. Okay, another red cap. No problem. I think we just want to... What can we do with 5? Next turn, 5. Alright, let's go ahead and Reaper. Next turn, we'll be able to Acolyte and Reeve. So that's fine. It's also not the worst, in case they do have counters in their deck. Always sucks to get both sides of your adventure cards countered out. Alright, definitely draw 2. Don't want to trade. Keep going. Alright, what's your last card, big boy? Searing Barrage. Alright, don't mind that in the least. So next turn, get our Reaper and Knight down. Start beating them up. Ginger Brutes, not going to do enough for them. Get it. We have our own Ginger Brute. Hello. Mana has been so weird in this deck. I mean, we have it split 9 and 8, so I don't know what the deal is. They're 6 points ahead, but they're about to be a lot less. Oh, gross. Nice. Nope. We will wait. Okay. Sure thing. So they're going to scry and draw, which is pretty good for them. for the real deal? Yeah, I'm going to block it. That's what's going to happen. And he wants to draw, so he doesn't want to activate the Gingerbrute. Don't blame you. Yeah, do it. Do it all. Nope. Yes, I've left master blockers. So we go to 5. Or we could actually just go up. Also don't hate. Yeah. Or we could trade across. Take 2. 6. Nope, don't do that. Okay. Nope. It's just confuse and obfuscate our pair. Man, for our opponent's sake. Alright, we need a top deck. That's not it. Oh man, it's not even the right color land. So now we have to do some real math. Say he got, I'm trying to think, like a barge. So that makes that 7 points of damage. We can still swing one more time. And I don't want to put the cabin down. So I want that food, but now it's 2 turns away. It's not good. Alright, let's swing in. So we have 2 paladins that care about adamant. That's probably worth putting down, because the other thing is just these gingerbread cabins. These little ledges are going to get us. So they draw. Not sure what they kept on top or bottom. Either way, it's not going to be great for us. Especially if it's another Searing Barrage. That would probably be game. Trebuchet. Alright, so that gives him a blocker. Okay, well, not the worst. Trail Crumbs. And we're going to get a little card advantage and a little life, which is very good for us. Yes. I mean, yeah, I guess we take the frickin'... What is with the flood here? Good lord. Yeah, sure. Let's see if he wants to block out the trebuchet, or with the trebuchet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11. Run away together. Cool. So he's gonna empty his hand, I guess. It's not a knight though. Didn't really do too much for him. It's possible he leaves a card strain in his hand. Alright, so mills 2 more. Better be any of the... Yeah, okay, at least 1 land. Yeah, paladin. So we could pull a Burrow Witches, we could pull our other paladin. Those are our 2 best draws. Also have a Cauldron that wouldn't suck. Let's see, our giant. Which is just bonkers to me. I just don't know the other paladin. Or even at this point, we could pull the Barrow Witches and put down the Witches and play the paladin from the graveyard. Full value. I'm trying to think what other food. Sure. It's not food. Does opponent have another runaway together? Possibly. Alright, so he still gets 1 extra damage from Trebuchet. That's 1, 2, 3. We're down to, if he can remove that Acolyte, then we're done. We get 2 more guaranteed damage. And then 1 from the Apprentice. Yeah. Goes for it. Do you have a barge in? Nope, no barge in. Does he have a way to do extra damage? Yep. Man, that one was real tight. We flooded hard, which is unfortunate because we don't have any turn the game around bombs. You know, we're not about to top deck a Garrick. The best we could have hoped for was our Paladin a turn or 2 ago, or the Witches for the same effect. So we tried to grind it out, but didn't quite get there. 6 wins, I think, is pretty accurate for this deck. And overall, got to see some more. Definitely just not as many mill decks, I think, as people are freaking out about if you get on Reddit or just online in general. A lot of diversity. Sure, this would be, I think, a lot more fun still if we could do human pod drafting, but for what we get for the amount of different decks that you can draft and the depth of it, this is still a great format. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that button too, and if you want to see another one of our videos, you can click here or here. This has been Aaron with ChannelTop, and I'll see you in the next one.